There's been a subtle shift in the housing market narrative, and if you're only watching headlines like rising inventory and rising rates, you might have missed it. But Zillow, they're quietly changing their tune, and every revision is pointing in one direction, down. I'll share with you what Zillow is now projecting for 2025 and what it can mean for us here in San Diego. After that, if you're a homeowner or planning to be one soon, brace yourself. Homeowners insurance rates are headed up again in 2025, and if you're in California, it's not just a bump, it's a jump. Damn it, I feel like every month I have bad news updates on the insurance for you. As for rate hikes, we're talking about double-digit increases in some states, with California sitting near the top of the list. I'll break down what's going on, why this is happening, and how it could affect you. This and more covered in this week's San Diego Market Matters, and I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego Realtor. If you're enjoying the weekly updates that I provide in these market reports, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on what's happening in the real estate market. And if you're thinking of selling or buying here in San Diego, I have my contact info in the description below. Let's connect and see how we can make your next move happen for you. Now, let's get into the good stuff. Quick market check-in. We sure did have a lot happen this last week. PCE, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, reported. This is the metric the Federal Reserve uses to track inflation. Their goal is to get inflation down to 2% while maximizing employment. Well, it looks like they're still slowly but surely on track to do so. PCE reported a reduction from 2.7% in February to 2.3% in March. Our last PCE reading that low was back in October. Hopefully we can sustain this going forward. As for unemployment reported well, 4.2% in April, which is the same as March. So where there are a lot of expectations or doom claims being suggested that our labor market was going to crash, well, the data isn't showing it yet. Now for GDP, the gross domestic product had a different showing this week. Quarter 4 of 2024 reported 2.4% growth. Fast forward to quarter 1 of 2025, that reported a negative 0.3% growth. This is the first reading to suggest a possible recession ahead of us. If Q2 reports negative as well, then we will have satisfied the technical definition of a recession, that being 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. But with PCE slowly coming down and unemployment showing extremely well, a negative GDP report is not enough to suggest that the Federal Reserve will cut rates at the next meeting, that's this upcoming week. As for mortgage rates, in the earlier part of this week, rates were slightly better, but as the data dropped, mortgage rates slowly crept up. The good news is that we're still sitting below 7%, and that's been holding for about 8 weeks now. Now let's talk about Zillow's recent price growth forecast and how they're adjusting their expectations to where the market is going. If you've been watching price forecasts slowly this year, you've probably noticed a trend, and not the kind that makes sellers happy. At the beginning of 2025, Zillow was projecting home prices would rise by 2.6% this year. Then they dropped it down to 0.6%. Now, they're officially forecasting a 1.9% decline in home values by the end of the year. That's a full 4.5% swing from one direction to the other. And that's not just a matter of guesswork. It reflects what's happening in the trenches right now. More listings, elevated mortgage rates, and a rising share of sellers cutting prices to get offers. Zillow's updated forecast points to a housing market that's cooling, not collapsing, but still showing real signs of softening. As inventory creeps higher and buyers finally getting some more options, we're seeing a shift in power. Buyers are no longer having to make lightning fast decisions, and sellers are the ones having to blink first. In fact, we're seeing price cuts at record levels, and according to Zillow, that pressure is going to continue through the rest of the year. Now on the flip side, home sales are actually expected to rise slightly, with 4.2 million existing sales projected to close at the end of 2025. That's a 3.3% bump from last year. That sounds small, but after the kind of freeze we had in 2023 and 2024, any forward movement is notable. And this is in alignment with a majority of the forecasts made at the beginning of the year, which expectations were between 4 and 4.5 million. Spring should bring a temporary bump in sales. It typically does, but the bigger picture is about affordability. If prices do soften and mortgage rates finally start trending lower, sales could pick up more steam heading into late summer and even fall. It's still a big if, but it's definitely on the table. And let's not forget about the rentals for a minute. Zillow is also forecasting moderate rent growth this year, 3.1% growth in single family rentals, 2.1% growth in multifamily rentals. And while those numbers aren't anything wild, there's still enough to keep pressure on renters, especially after affordability in the purchase market remains just ridiculously out of reach for many.
It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
We are already seeing more would-be buyers shift into the rental market as a placeholder until buying makes sense again. Bottom line, prices are softening, sellers are adjusting, buyers are watching, and renters are waiting. So why does this matter to us in San Diego? Because what we're seeing nationally tends to show up in our market with a slight delay. When national inventory rises, so did San Diego's, just not at the same rate. When price cuts pick up or buyer sentiment shifts, we feel that as well. And with rates still elevated, every national trend matters. If prices drop in key feeding markets, or if buyers in other states stall out, it eventually ripples into how people behave here. Watching these macro trends isn't about fear, it's about reading the road ahead of us. So here's my question to you. How do you feel about Zillow's price growth forecast? Do you honestly think we'll experience a negative growth this year? If so, let me know what you think in the comments below. Now let's move on to a new update regarding a really hot topic here in California and San Diego. That is homeowners insurance. Nationwide homeowners insurance premiums are expected to rise another 8% this year, pushing the average annual cost to about $3,520. That's $261 up from last year, and it follows a 20% increase over the last 2 years. So yes, that's nearly 30% in just 3 years, which is far outpacing inflation. The main reason, I'm sure you guessed it, climate-driven disasters, wildfires, hurricanes, hailstorms, tornadoes, flooding. These events are becoming more frequent and more destructive. And when insurers pay out more in claims than they actually collect in premiums, they make up for it the only way they know how, by passing that cost on to you.
Ah, damn it!
To put that into perspective, in Iowa, for every $100 insurance companies collected in premiums, they paid out $122 in claims. That's not sustainable. And that's the story across large parts of the country. States like Florida, Louisiana, Colorado, and Texas are getting hammered with rising premiums. In fact, Florida is projected to hit $15,460 a year in insurance costs by the end of 2025. That's right, you heard it. That's more than most people pay in property taxes and homeowners insurance combined here in California. Now let's talk about something that isn't getting nearly enough attention with regards to its impact on homeowners insurance. That's tariffs. We've already got insurance companies raising premiums to cover climate-related losses, but now they're also bracing for increased rebuilding costs tied to US tariff policy. New tariffs on steel, aluminum, lumber, and other construction materials could raise the cost to rebuild homes by up to $4 billion, according to the National Association of Home Builders. That matters because rates are directly tied to how much it would cost to rebuild your home. If the price of materials goes up, so does the cost to replace your roof, your kitchen, or even rebuild from scratch if you experience a flood or a fire. And guess who gets stuck with that extra cost? That's right, you, the homeowner.
Ah, damn it! Ah, damn it!
David Marletta, professor of insurance and risk management, said it pretty plainly. If tariffs stick, the extra cost of those materials will be baked into premiums. So even if your home isn't damaged, you're paying more because the potential cost of repair just went up. And here's the kicker. These new tariffs weren't factored into current projections for 2025. So if they remain in place or expand, the actual increase in insurance premiums could end up higher than anyone's estimating right now. But let's bring it home because California isn't escaping this. Insurify projects a 21% increase in California homeowners insurance rates this year. That's the second largest increase in the nation. Only Louisiana is projected to see worse. By the end of 2025, the average annual premium in California is expected to reach $2,930. And keep in mind, that's the average. In wildfire zones or areas flagged as high risk, the cost can be much, much higher. And it's not only about natural disasters, this is also about what's going on behind the scenes. After the Palisades and the Eaton fires destroyed over 16,000 homes in LA County earlier this year, insurers are faced with an estimated $45 billion in losses. That hit the FAIR Plan, California's insurer of last resorts, so hard that the administrators are asking for a $1 billion bailout. Half of that, $500 million, can legally be passed on to the policyholders. That means if you're insured in California, even if you're not in a high-risk zone, you may still see temporary fees added to your premiums just to help insurers recover.
God damn it! God damn it! God damn it!
You're now allowed to factor in future climate risk when setting rates, not just historical data. That's a major shift. The California Department of Insurance made this change to keep insurance companies from leaving the state entirely. But it also means that the model assumes more frequent and more intense climate events, which can justify larger increases in premiums. So what can you actually do about it? The good news is that you're not entirely powerless here. Mostly powerless, but not entirely. There are some strategies that can help reduce your insurance bill or at least soften the blow. First off, shop your policy around. Not all insurers price risk the same way. A different company might offer you the same coverage for less, especially if you haven't had any recent claims. Next, bundle your insurance. Pairing your home and auto insurance policies with the same company can lead to significant discounts, sometimes up to 20% or more. Another option is to raise your deductible. If you can afford to pay a little bit more out of pocket in the event of a claim, raising your deductible can lower your monthly premium. Just make sure you have an emergency fund in place in case something happens. There's also the option of upgrading your home. Insurers love homes that are harder to damage. Installing things like impact-resistant roofing, storm windows, or fire-resistant materials can reduce your risk and earn you a discount. You can find ways to mitigate your exposure by deferring to CAL FIRE hardening protocols or recommendations. Another option is to ask about discounts. Some insurers offer reduced rates for things like security systems, smoke detectors, water leak sensors, emergency shutoff valves, or even being a non-smoker. It doesn't hurt to ask. Staying claim-free is another extremely important factor. Filing frequent claims, even small ones, can raise your premiums. Sometimes it's cheaper in the long run to handle minor repairs out of pocket. Claims filed against your property also makes it extremely difficult for the next buyer to secure insurance on your home if you decide to sell. This is a regular issue with buyers that we're working with right now. And if things get tight, don't be afraid to revisit your coverage. Just make sure you're not sacrificing key protections to save you a few bucks. Stripping your policy down too far can leave you exposed when you actually need it. So here's my question for you. Do you think we're heading for a breaking point with California insurance rates? And if you've seen your premium go up, how much more are you paying this year compared to last? Drop your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you're seeing on the ground. And that's a wrap for this week's San Diego Market Matters video. I hope this information was valuable for you. Now, if you enjoy what I bring in these videos almost every week and you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so now. But if you're still not sure, check out some of my other content. I'll post 2 videos here that might win you over. As always, I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego Realtor. I'll see you next video.